What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we need to talk about Sundial Growers stock, ticker symbol SNDL, because this stock is about to go through a potential reverse split, and that is going to be voted on at an up-and-coming special annual meeting. We are going to break down what this reverse split means for Sundial stock, what it could potentially entail in terms of the stock price, and all kinds of other things. And we're going to break down what a reverse split is for anyone who is not yet aware. So, first things to note, the annual meeting where Sundial will be voting on whether or not to engage in this reverse split is being held on July 21st of 2022. This is where the board of Sundial will seek the approval of its shareholders to consolidate all of its issued and outstanding shares at a consolidation ratio of between 10 to 1 and 25 to 1. So this is either going to be somewhere in the range of a 10 to 1 to 25 to 1 reverse stock split. And we're going to break down some of those prices in a minute. But it's notable that you have until July 19th to vote by proxy. If you want to vote by proxy, you most likely got an email from your brokerage, whichever brokerage you hold your Sundial shares in, where they've sent you a link where you can go and vote by proxy with some instructions. So, first things to note is that Sundial does have quite a few shares outstanding, right? They have quite a few, 2.39 billion shares outstanding. And that number, if they do go through a reverse split, will be decreasing pretty dramatically because this is a somewhat large reverse split. A 10 to 1 or a 25 to 1 or somewhere in that range is what's going to happen. It's going to be up to the board to decide. If voters decide to allow them to do it, they'll at a later date decide which actual ratio they want to use, somewhere in the range of 10 to 25 to 1. So that's what's going to happen there. But for the Sundial reverse split, as for the outstanding shares, those will be getting decreased pretty dramatically. Now, it's not all bad when you hear that there's going to be a reverse split. It could actually be a fairly beneficial thing for the stock in terms of looking like a more credible stock. When you see Sundial, it doesn't look like the most credible stock to a lot of investors because of its low price, right? It's currently sitting around 35 cents per share at the moment, and a lot of investors shy away from penny stocks. A lot of shorts flock to penny stocks and try to push them down further. And that is something that Sundial has suffered from for a long time. And this reverse split could potentially get them into a much more favorable price zone. However, it obviously would decrease your share counts. Now, what this would do to the outstanding shares is if we did a 10 for 1 reverse split, there are currently 2.39 billion shares outstanding. You would just divide that by 10 to get 239 million shares outstanding. Now, if they ended up doing the 25 to 1 reverse split, you would take the 2.39 billion, divide it by 25 to get about 95 million shares outstanding, incredibly decreasing the free float and the outstanding shares of Sundial stock. I mean, it would dramatically decrease the outstanding shares by just so much, right? Down from the billions to either the hundreds or tens of millions, depending on how far they decide to take this reverse split. Now, what would happen to the price of Sundial stock if this happened, right? Is Sundial is currently trading for around 35 cents per share. If they did the 10 for 1 reverse split, you would multiply that by 10 to get a price of $3.50 per share, or they would do the 25 potentially at the max reverse split, and you would multiply the price by 25 to get a price of $8.75 per share of Sundial stock. Now, in terms of what this would actually do to your account, if you guys don't understand what a reverse split is, essentially you're taking shares of Sundial stock and crushing them together into one giant share of Sundial stock. So if they said, say, just for this example, if they do the 10 for 1 reverse split, that means they take 10 shares of Sundial stock in your account and they consolidate it into one share. In the process of doing that, they also multiply the price by 10. So in this example where you have 1,000 shares of Sundial stock trading at 35 cents per share, you currently have an account value of $350. Now, once they do the 10 for 1 reverse split, if that's what they end up doing, you would decrease the 1,000 shares that you have by 10x, right? You would have 100 shares left after that reverse split. However, you would also multiply the price by 10x, meaning the Sundial stock would be trading at $3.50 per share, also netting you a $350 account value. So what's important to realize about this reverse split is that it doesn't actually change the account value that you have for Sundial stock. It's merely changing the way the stock is priced and the number of shares that are out there. And so if you don't have if you don't have that many shares, you're going to have even fewer. If you have a bunch of shares, you're going to have fewer after this reverse split if the vote goes through. The reason they're doing this reverse split, for anyone who is curious, is to maintain the $1 minimum bid requirement on the NASDAQ. They're doing this because they want to be able to remain listed on the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ has a rule that you have to have a stock price of at least $1 to remain listed. And they've been out of compliance with that for the past several months, and they are brushing up against a potential delisting if this stock split does not go through. So that's why they're doing it. And in my opinion, I think this will probably pass. And overall, it's not going to be the worst thing, right? It's going to decrease the shares outstanding by quite a bit. It's not going to change people's account values necessarily. Now, there could potentially be some volatility right after the reverse split, as we often see with stocks that do go through either splits or reverse splits. There are a bunch of people who become interested in them and potentially either short them or buy them or sell their shares or buy more shares for the first time. And we'll just have to see what goes on with Sundial stock. But this doesn't actually change any of my convictions regarding the potential for legalization and the pump potential that Sundial has, in addition to the fact that their business has actually been improving over the past couple of years while their stock price has been decreasing. I still think Sundial's a pretty good buy. I'm not going to be selling my shares because of this reverse split. That's just my opinion, though, not financial advice. And if you guys appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And other than that, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.